here are the Yoms. This is okay. The Alter Rebbe said, when I was in Mezrich, the Alter Rebbe, when he first started out, the first Rebbe of Chabad, it was just a young man in his 20s, early 20s. So he said, when I was in Mezrich, I heard from my Rebbe, the Maggid of Mezrich, the name of the Baal Shem Tov, that this month of Tishrei is the first month of the year. It's blessed by God. Usually the last Shabbat of every month, we make a special prayer, which is called blessing the next month. And the month of Cheshvan, which is the month right before Tishrei, we do not bless the month of Tishrei. We don't bless the month. It says in the Gemara, in order to confuse the devil or the Satan, and anyway, we don't bless it. The last month of the month, the last Shabbat in the month, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. The last Shabbat in the month of Elul, I don't know why I said that. The last Shabbat in the month of Elul. Elul is the month right before Tishrei. This last Shabbat of the month of Elul, this month, that was last Shabbat. It blesses the seventh month, but we don't bless it. God himself says the blessing. With this power, the Jewish people, we bless all of the months of the year 11 times. It says, Atem nitzavim hayom, you are standing today. This is referring to Rosh Hashanah, which is the day of judgment. The judgment. You are standing. Atem nitzavim, that's last week's Torah portion. The Jews are standing upright, means you will be vindicated in judgment. Rosh Hashanah is the judgment day, but nevertheless, God judges everyone favorably. On the Shabbat preceding Rosh Hashanah, which that was last Shabbat, we read Atem Nitzavim, which is God blessing the Shabbat. That's the blessing of God, that you are going to be standing. That the seventh month, Tishrei, is itself the seventh, that the seventh month will be, the word seven in Hebrew is the same letters as to be satisfied, Sovea. And it in turn satisfies all the Jewish people. Like you eat a good meal, so you're satisfied, you can go and work with an abundance of good for the duration of the coming year. So essentially, what do we say? This last Shabbat, we did not bless the month of Tishrei, as we do every month. The last Shabbat of every month, we bless the next month. This last Shabbat, the last Shabbat of Elul, we did not bless the month of Tishrei, but God did. And the blessing is what we read in the Torah, Atem Nitzavim. You will be standing, Jewish people will be upright and standing, successful, past the day of judgment. God will find something good in every single Jew. That was yesterday, 25th. That's right. Okay, now let's do tomorrow. The procedure, how do you kosher meat? You kosher meat by, first of all, you have to get rid of the blood. You have to get rid of the blood. If you want to boil meat, so you have to get rid of the blood. You have to get rid of the blood first. How do you get rid of the blood from meat? So you, first of all, you soak it in order to soften it up. Soak it for half an hour. Then you salt it for an hour. And then you rinse it off. Rinse off the blood, because the blood draws out the salt. It draws out the blood. The salt draws out the blood. I'm sorry. The salt draws out the blood. So first you soak the meat, that softens it up. Then you put salt on it, and the salt draws out the blood. So the salt is so dirty, so you wash it off, all the bloody salt and all the blood that's on the surface. Three things: soaking, salting, and rinsing. This also we have to do to ourselves. You want to be kosher, you first of all have to soak yourself in the words of the Rebbe, of Maimra, Sicha. Think about things that the Rebbe said. Then after that, you have to do salting, means to be yechidus, means to have a private audience with the Rebbe, which some people do that. They go to the oil. Some people open up Igros Kodesh. That's what I do. You open up a book of the letters of the Rebbe. And then there's rinsing. Rinsing is Hasidic song, singing a nigun that rinses, that washes away all the bad. Huh? Washing what? Ay, 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 do, do. Ay, 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 do, do. Ay, 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 mama, you do, you do, you do, do, Anyway, sing. Maybe we'll have a class of singing. We'll see. Next, we have next. I want to do a few days. Here we go. From the holy teachings of the Alter Rebbe, Israel. It's called Yisrael Goy Echad Ba'oretz. Micham Yisrael Goy Echad Ba'oretz. Who is like the Jewish people, one nation in the world. This comes from Chronicles, the book of Chronicles. The nation of the Jewish people. It's called Israel. The Jews are one nation on the earth. Goy Echad Ba'oretz. What does it mean, one nation on the earth? Of course they're on the earth. Where would they be? On the moon? It says no, that it means that the Jewish people, even when they're on the earth dealing with physical, mundane things, is bound up with one, the oneness of God. That's one, the nation of one God. God transforms the spiritual into something material. The Jewish people transform the material, the physical. God creates the physical world. Our job is to make the physical world into something spiritual and meaningful. Job of the Jews. That is tomorrow. Then we have, this is what, Wednesday?
Yeah, you just did Wednesday.
Here we go. Yes. Okay, here we got. This is Chavav. This is what? 28th. Thursday. Here we got Thursday. God's blessing brings wealth. Birchat Hashem hi ta'ashir. The blessing of God brings wealth. It's a saying in Proverbs. This is so in general, but especially to one who gives of his time to occupy himself with the community, with other people's needs. Charity, strengthening Judaism. Like it says, God never remains a debtor. If you do good, God will always repay you back. For every good thing a person does, he is recompensed grandly by God. Children, health, livelihood, and abundance. And this, I think you can apply also to all the non-Jews, even if they don't, they do good, but they don't know anything about the Torah. Chinese people, they don't even know there is such a thing as the Torah. Chinese, Japanese, all these people, they have no idea that there's, the Indians and all this thing. Right? They don't know that there's a God, the God of Israel, the God that cares. They don't know anything about any of these, but a lot of them are good people. They do good and they help each other and they're selfless and they're this. So any person that does a good thing, God always repays them. I don't exactly understand how the whole business works, but God is good and God recognizes good and God repays good. So we can say for sure. Okay, now let's go. Today, this is going to be when Chavtet. This is the birth of the Tzemach Tzedek, from the Alter Rebbe's aphorisms, from the Alter Rebbe's sayings. The Tzemach Tzedek was the third Rebbe of Chabad. We have absolutely no conception how precious to God is the physical body of a Jew. In general, we've been learning in these classes that one of the big messages of Hasidut is how precious this physical world is and how precious every instant of life is in this physical world, infinitely more so than going to heaven. And even more precious is the Jewish people. And as far as the Jewish people goes, the body is more precious than the soul. That's why there's going to be the raising of the dead, right? That the dead are going to come back. What do you have to leave them up in heaven? Spiritual. He says no, because the physical is so important. And now let's do Shabbat, which is going to be, have to be 2 days of Shabbat, because there's going to be Rosh Hashanah is Shabbat and Yom Rishon. We won't be able to have any classes. So here we go. When you light candles for Rosh Hashanah, you say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'adlik ner shel Yom HaZikaron. That's the blessing we make in Chabad. Others make it also. Yom HaZikaron, the day of remember. God remembers us. And also we make Shechianu. When you say Kaddish, you say La'ela, you say only once, except for Ni'ila, the fifth prayer. Then we say, some people say La'ela or La'ela Mikal. Right? There's a lot of groups that say it twice. Okay, these are different things of the prayer. And we say, also we do a thing called Tashlich. We don't do it because it's on Shabbat, so we'll do it on the second day. Tashlich. You say when you eat the apple in the nighttime of Rosh Hashanah, you eat the apple, right? We eat an apple at the beginning of the meal. But we say on the first night, you say Yehi Ratzon, say may it be God's will for the apple. You say that after the blessing. So you take the apple, you say, you make Kiddush, and then you take the apple and you say, may this year be a sweet, and you make the blessing on the apple. And then before you eat the apple, you say, may this year be a sweet, good year, good, sweet year. And then you eat it. Usually speaking, you're not supposed to speak between the blessing, but here you do because it's part of it. So in Chabad, there's a lot of like Sephardic Jews, and also my wife that was her custom in her family. Even though they weren't religious, her mother was religious. So anyway, so they used to bring all these other things on the table, and they would say Yehi Ratzon, maybe God's will that we should be, like God should cut off all of our enemies. We had a carrot, karat. Anyway, so we eat a fish's head. We don't eat lamb's head. Some people eat lamb's head. But we only say Yehi Ratzon. We don't say it on all the other fruits. We only say it on the apple. Okay, Tashlich is a prayer that they say after, in the daytime, they say at Mincha. And after you say it, you shake out the four corners of your towel. You look and see what is Tashlich. They go to the river, you say a special prayer.
Some people use bread.
What?
Some people use bread.
What do they use bread for? What?
They throw the bread into the water.
Oh, that fish. I have not seen.
Different minhag.
Throw bread into. Okay, it's better, I guess, the fish than the sins, but
it's a minhag.
I've never seen it. Okay, maybe the fish come up to the servant. Oh, the Alter Rebbe said before saying the shofar, we say Anabakol. We don't sound the shofar on the first day of Rosh Hashanah this year because it is Shabbat. You don't sound the shofar on Shabbat. Okay, so there's all these Kabbalistic indications and letters and initials that we say there. It says that people who understand these initials, you should think about them. But if not, in general, it says, for instance, Anabakoach, you should just think about it, all the angels and things like that is. Think about it, but don't say it. A person who knows the intentions of the Arizal, the Kabbalah, he should deepen his mind into it and think about it. But if you don't know it, then you should say, may my prayers be accepted according to all the prayers, the intentions that are mentioned in these Kabbalistic books. I would like to know them, but I don't know what they are. So, but as much as you can understand the prayers in the deepest way, the better. But if you don't understand, just saying the words is good, but you can't use that as an excuse. We have an obligation to try to serve God with our understanding as well. And that's the second day of Yom Rosh Hashanah. And God willing, after that, I'll be online again. Okay? Good.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. Okay. Have a good story. I have to tell you a story.
We're in Shofar HaGadol.